welcome to the Model Car Hobby Headquarters Unpodcast with your host, Luka C. Now here he is, Luka C. Well, hello, my fellow car modelers. How are you doing today? I have got a guest here, right there. Invite.
How we doing?
This is
doing? You too.
Hey, if you don't know who this fella is, you got to check out his YouTube channel, MuttModeler. It's just MuttModeler, right?
It's just MuttModeler, one word. Scary enough, if you Google that, it's the first thing that pops up. So
excellent. Yep. And but his real name is Craig Godfrey, right? Godfrey.
Yes, sir.
Did I say it right?
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, you said it perfect.
I usually screw that completely up. But the thing and why I wanted to have Craig on is he put something on that I had an absolute blast doing, and I've always heard about it, and I think it's a great thing that he brings to the community, and it's been something that's been going on for a long time. There's the 48-hour build every year, and I got to tell you, that thing, I had so much fun doing it, and it rejuvenated my model building, because everybody knows I just have this mental block of getting any projects done, and I just had such a blast doing this. It was a challenge because, everybody saw BG said, don't do a NASCAR. So I did because that's how I roll.
Absolutely.
And, what a neat thing that you done. But before we get in the story about the 48-hour build and talk about that, Craig, why don't you tell everybody kind of like your story? What got you into model building? And then later on, get you into YouTubing and then doing the 48-hour build. We might as well start at the beginning. That's usually the best place to start.
Sure, definitely.
Go right ahead.
We'll try to do the best we can. I'm not the best storyteller in the world. Trust me when I tell you. But I will start.
I'm not the best listener, so
there you go.
We're even.
That's it. We're right on target.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, I will start at the beginning. I mean, it's not gonna be this bad. And like I killed a bear when I was 3 and that kind of thing. But I won't go that detailed. It may sound like it's going that route, but I promise you it won't be. But I want to start with where I could basically best remember the first ever model kit I got, and I was pretty darn young at the time. My father was a volunteer fireman in town, and we grew up in for 30 years. So one of the fun things they used to have every year as part of the community of being a volunteer fireman in the family and all that was a Christmas party. And like most Christmas parties for kids and such, inevitably Santa Claus would show up and be handing out presents and gifts to just the kids. The adults didn't get any presents and such. And basically, that was the first place I got a model kit, was during this, volunteer fireman Christmas party. And I actually have a picture somewhere in the archives, because you could just tell by the size of the box that it's, like just the standard car kit, 121 or 125, right?
Yep.
I have an older brother, so he also got a model kit, and it was actually, I remember what he got, which is strange because I don't remember what I got. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
Always the case, right?
Yeah, always.
He got a Spitfire, believe it or not. And I remember him putting it together, no paint, no nothing, just glue it together and whatever it is. And it sat on his dresser in his room. And I know I got a car kit. That's all I remember about it. So that was my first ever model kit I ever saw in my life. And again, I was pretty young at the time. I wish, I would pay money really to know what that kit actually was.
You did build it though, right?
I did build it. I didn't get really, I don't think I really remember getting any help with it. I just, they just said, here, have some fun and give it a try. And I put some glue, and it was a total glue bomb, of course. I didn't paint it, of course, and all that. So it was just get it together. And, I think the tire fell off after about an hour or something like that, that kind of stuff. But that is the first ever kit I remember seeing. Again, it's, I wish I could remember what it was, but anyway, Fast forward a long ways. You probably know this, but growing up, I grew up. I was born in 1972. So growing up in the 70s and late 70s, early 80s, Christmas is usually somebody got a race car track. Right, was big.
Oh
back then,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I remember the commercials, and they show they did all these fancy things, and then of course, you get one of those, and you try to do all, and it never worked, right? It never worked exactly.
No. Oh,
Oh, anyway, so my brother actually got one of those. It didn't work out so well, but go fast forward a little bit. They actually had something come out called it was by Tyco Corporation. The Tyco U.S. Electric Trucking was the name of it, and it was the same.
If you want to be a right good trucker, son, here's what you gotta do. You're in control on US 1 where the trucks go roaring through. Where you hit the road and you move her down. Where you dump that load of jockey rigs around and you back that truck when you hear that sound. There's a fire alert and it's coming down. Fire alert! You heard me. Fire alert! With 3 trucks. Fire alert! Those trucks mean business, boy.
That's how it's done. US 1 Fire Alert Electric Trucking with everything shown here. You put it together. New from Tyco.
Do you remember this?
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. So that was a big item that year. Quite a few people got it, including myself, for Christmas, and my best friend who lived right across the street. Now this is all going to add up, trust me, to models and stuff.
I believe
at some
you.
point. I don't know.
I believe you.
So he got the set. We were all talking about it for the holiday. We're still young enough to get that kind of thing for the Christmas kind of holiday. And so he got one, I got one, and it didn't take us very long to realize, let's put them together and make a big set, like both together. And so that was cool. And luckily for me, we put it together in my basement. It was a little bigger than his. So that was the start of having a layout. And then we said, let's add something to it. And we got a water tower model kit, kind of like what scale railroading things would be. And then we got a little building and all that. And it became obvious he wasn't all that interested in this model building thing. He did 1 or 2, but then kind of lost interest. But I was really, really into it and got interested right away from it. So that's when I started building, was for this combined Tyco US Electric Trucking set. And then we ended up moving that off and then bringing on a basic loop of a train, HO train set, right? Because we got one of those later on. I think I got that for my birthday. I believe.
About that same time, and I remember HO scale trains got really popular, the Tyco ones, and I don't know what I remember. I'm a little older than you. In 1976, Tyco did this Spirit of 76 train, and I remember everyone in the neighborhood got that train, and I got the little red and silver and yellow Santa Fe one. So mine was different from anybody else's, which now I look back, it was a cooler looking train. But I was bummed I didn't get the Spirit of 76 Tyco train. I remember those commercials real well.
Yep. I don't remember that one, but I'm going to look it up. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Google that.
Oh yeah, it's that was a really neat thing. I bet you can find the commercial. I remember it had a jingle to it that just stuck in your head. But I remember that US trucking set. I don't know if I knew anybody that had that, because I know I was thinking, man, that's cool. I want one.
I mean, it was a great concept, and I'll tell you what, unlike the racetrack, the other cars and usually it was like a race car, like a police car set, or something like that. It would be the traditional car track sets, but unlike those, this worked immediately perfectly. Like you just put it, there was no issues with the track coming apart or like the car going around or the trucks going around, I mean. So it was just such a relief that it worked the minute you put it together and turned it on and plugged it on the wall. And
didn't the trucks, I seem to recall, you used to be able to back them up and do a dump or something like that? They were interactive.
Yes, they were really actually super cool. They had these the basic set came with a couple of these things, right? Which one was like a log it had like you had a dump truck and like a flatbed were the two
Right.
trucks that came with it. So the dump truck, you can go like to where the logs were, and then you would pull into it, and it would actually, there was a bulldozer or, thing and earth mover that pushed the logs up and into your back of your truck. Then you can go drive the logs down the other side of the track and then dump the logs into something. So, and they had so many of these sets that you can buy and add.
Those were our video games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Without doubt. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I totally remember that thing. I remember seeing that commercials.
Yeah. And my
Fully
best friend, he had
interactive.
a couple sets that I didn't have. And then I really went crazy with it. He didn't go as nuts as I did with it, but I got all kinds of sets to add to it. And, again, it just built out from there. It was really cool. It was great because it worked so well. That was kind of nice about it. And as I said, we just kind of used it to be a basic setup and then build, the models and other things around it. Then we got rid of it, as I say, got a train loop. But really, it became more about doing the buildings, and like we put streets, and we created like a truck stop behind a mobile gas station model kit, whatever, with just that box, and we created a junkyard. That was another fun thing we created. So we had more fun doing that. And the train just kind of oddly enough just sort of sat there more and more, and the models stuff around it built up more and more. But so what happened is eventually we got a little bit older and we were losing interest in it. It was just collecting dust and that kind of thing. Like it typically would happen as you get into the start of like high school and such, right? Other things come around and interests. So we boxed it all away, kind of just put it away, and that kind of thing. And I said, well, I enjoy building models. I want to keep doing this. So I said, let me just keep building models for the set. And then someday when I bring it out again, I'll have more models. So that's kind of what I did for a little while. But then my friend, or I met somebody who does models through high school. We became fast friends, and he did a lot of jet aircraft, but a lot of cars and trucks too. So that's when I got on to like doing model cars and trucks. And was almost exclusively started doing cars and trucks, because now I had somebody I can go over and hang out with, and we would talk about it or build together, stuff like that, so it became a lot of fun.
What year would that have been when you started getting into
that? Would have been
cars?
Yeah, that would have been probably about 1989, 90, somewhere like that. Okay. End of my high school years, maybe junior in high school or something like that. And again, we didn't do it that often, but we did stay active with it a little bit, a few times a year we'd get together, and then we would, because we had someone to bounce it off of, right? In between the other stuff, it was kind
that's
of
always the fun of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was always a good fun time. And again, it worked pretty well there for a while. I kept building and then just boxing them away and keeping them safe to another day, where I could bring them out. But then the cars started I got into NASCAR, oddly enough. I know you're a big race fan.
Really?
And really. I just saw the awesome the Cervinos one you just did the other day.
The Richard Petty car. Yeah,
super cool, super cool.
I love their stuff.
But I would love to get one. I just hope I would be able to do it justice. But I'll give you a quick funny thing about doing NASCARs. I just love the paint schemes, right? I didn't really have a favorite driver. I live in New Jersey, right? The NASCAR following there is pretty low, right? It's just not that high. I mean, the closest track is Pocono, which is 2 hours away over in Pocono, right?
Oh, yeah.
Watson Glens up in New York State is another track. But other than that, there's really not much around for that. So it's not, a big deal. But as far as an interest, it seems. But I like the paint schemes and the color schemes. So what I would do, because they were hard. I mean, I was pretty novice builder in those days. So I would put the decals on just one side and put it facing the wall on a shelf. And the other side, I wouldn't decal, So I would just leave it blank, So that was, and I didn't paint them really to begin with, like if they were molded, most of them are molded in color, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't bother painting them. So we just decaled the one side and just put them on the shelf, and they looked like $1 million to me. So, that was enough.
I've done that too. I've got an old NASCAR I built 30 something years ago up there. I didn't paint it. It was the Uno car. It was already red. I slapped decals on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love that model.
Well,
it looks
good.
cool on
Yeah.
the shelf. It looks cool on the
Yeah.
shelf.
Definitely. I mean, they were very popular then in the stores, right? So you would
Oh,
always
yeah.
see tons of them, right? Because you're talking like, as they say, like late 80s, early 90s.
Oh,
right?
it got real big at that point in time. It was the NASCAR thing that was taken off. Days of Thunder came out, blew the sport up.
Yep. It all exploded around, and it was both Revell and Monogram at the time that were kind of both putting. One had 124, I think, and one was 125, right? As far as scale, I don't think.
With all the NASCAR stuff, they kept them all 124th.
What was it all? Okay,
they always did. Yeah, they kept them 124th.
Okay, yeah.
Then, but AMT tried to get into the mix. Well, they did. What do you mean try? But 89 AMT goes, oh, we're going to jump into the NASCAR thing, and theirs were 25th scale.
Okay, yeah,
and they were pretty cool. So that might be. Yeah,
that's what I know. Somebody branched out and kind of changed it up a little.
Yeah, they did the 25th scale ones, and they did pretty much the cars that Monogram wouldn't do or didn't do. Sometimes they both did them the same ones, but that was an exciting time for NASCAR modeling, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, I mean they were everywhere.
And then they flooded the market, and then there was just too much. Everybody had enough.
Yeah, it's crazy because you see some of those kits on eBay now, and they go for a good penny. Some of them, the originals, right? But back in the day, they were $8 or $10, if that.
That's why I got stacked over here. I got stacks and stacks of them that I bought in that era because even later on, I was grabbing kits. NASCAR kits were $5, $3.
Yeah,
bought them up. I bought them up, and then Silvino starts doing their thing, and now I got more. It's so cool, and it's really neat how they're selling the heck out of them.
Yeah, that's great.
So they brought it back.
I have a couple of their kits. I've not built any of them yet, but I'll tell you, I am looking very forward to doing it because I know they make a good kit. It just you could just tell. I mean, you just can. I've seen plenty of them. Contest tables. I've seen them, on display. And,
especially at Acme, man. You got Rob Smorey was the beautiful job he did with them. He was doing their 79 Oldsmobile. He had it at the last one I went to.
Yep,
it was so cool looking and just so nice.
The stuff they can do, it's just
you
unbelievable.
Can build a nice model out of those kits.
Yeah, it's a great base, and then if you want to add all the details and all the
it definitely has a room for it.
Yeah, definitely. So, kind of picking it up where I was building casually, I would say, kits and such, and that was like that. It wasn't a lot. It was just a couple a year kind of thing, in the early 90s. Fast forward all the way to, believe it or not, our best guess is February issue of Fine Scale Modeler, because I liked all type of model building, not just model cars and trucks. I liked them all genres and such. So I saw in the back they have like upcoming shows and contests of the magazine Fine Scale Modeler.
Yeah,
and I saw just a 15-minute drive away was a show coming up in end of March or first weekend of April. I said, well, model show contest. I never heard of it, never been to one, maybe I'll go check it out. And then it just went like this. It just, once I went to one show, it just took off for me. It just went into a whole nother level of interest and stuff I never seen before, stuff I never heard before. I was just all over it. I was just loving it. And even though it was an IPMS show, they always had a decent selection of car models and truck models on display at the show, so that was pretty cool. And another thing that came in right into my interest with shows and such was that, basically you go to one show and a lot of times they'll have flyers out, right?
Oh,
and, for promoting others.
Yeah.
So what was one of the other shows that was just coming up 3 weeks later in roughly the same geographical area right here in New Jersey was the NNL East. And being mostly
big granddaddy, the big granddaddy.
Yeah. So being mostly a car and truck guy, I thought I saw something at this little IPMS show. Well, when I walked in the door at NNO East, I totally lost it. I mean, it was just unbelievable what they had there. So
Life-changing, huh?
yeah, that was big. That was super, super change. And I said, "Oh, this is where I've been looking for here."
Yeah.
You know, it just completely took over. I didn't bring any models the first time I went, to that first show. And I just wanted to see what it was all about. And then the second year, I did bring 3 models and went into that same show in the novice category they had at the time, which I think is a great thing.
Yeah.
Not all shows do that. But I think really would be great if they kind of did,
Yeah, it kind of gives the guys that are like trying to dip their toe in the waters a nice place to go at the show. Not definitely a bad idea to do.
Definitely. It's definitely a good starting place, and you feel comfortable that, the others are pretty much at your same level, and you're not, going against these master builders and such.
Mhm.
It just feels good. So I was lucky. I entered 3 models in the novice, and I won a second place with a 1950 Ford pickup.
Oh, cool.
Truck. So that was pretty cool, to get an award for that. And it was also when I got deeply interested in model contest judging too. At the
really?
IPMS shows. So luckily for me, those things came together very nicely because the club there that runs the show very much encourages people to, if you want to learn how to judge, you've never judged before, if you're curious, you want to see what it's about, come join us for the meeting. You get a free lunch. And then of course you would help judging. And so I just jumped in there. I figured, well, you know what? I'm new to this. Let me see what it's all about. Let me just go check it out. And the guys were super friendly, super knowledgeable. And I hit the jackpot with this one little show, right? So it was just, all that stuff just took off all in one shot.
That's cool.
And then we have a lot of shows in the circuit. So I was going to the circuit within like a 2-hour ride. We probably had a good 7 shows every year.
Yeah. That's just such a prime location. The whole East Coast really is like, the East is where to be for model shows. We don't have as many here in the Southwest. We got some good ones and we got some great builders, but man, we don't have the shows that you have. Also, it's so spread out here. You guys, the states are smaller, the towns are closer together. It just works out a lot better out there. But man, yeah, that's why. And some things have changed. I might be able to make it to Acme this year. I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah.
But if I don't make it to Acme this year, I'm not missing next year.
Yeah.
I had such a good time, and you and I met there.
Yep.
And I had such a good time at that show, and so many new friends and guys I was becoming friends through the internet and stuff, getting to meet face to face. That was so awesome.
Yep. It's surreal, right? When I went to my first Acme, I thought it was going to be, a bucket list of one and done. I knew I was going to have a good time, but I just figured, there's other shows to see and places to go and all that. 3 Acmes later, right? Right. So I ended up going back 2 more times. One was really funny because it was the Jeff and Charlie Mack show one year that I was down there. So that was an interesting experience to be there for all that. And there were several different people in those couple of years that I went that showed up. So that was fun to see. Of course, some of your people, of course, every year they're there because it's right in their backyard. You have the Fred Henrys,
Fred,
you have Rick Zink, and the Rick Scott, and all these guys who were in that area.
It was so fun meeting all those guys, and gosh, it seems like a lot of the people in that part of the country they like to congregate to that show. But there's some great shows a little more closer to you. I don't know if you ever been to that one in Roanoke. That's my buddy Dennis. I want to make it to that one. Those are like the first weekend in March. I don't know how long it takes you to get to Roanoke, Virginia, from what I remember.
That's about a 6-hour ride.
Yeah.
I've not been to it, but I will tell you this: that the New Jersey club that holds that one show that I go to, they always go to Roanoke show, and Roanoke always comes up.
Yeah, that's cool.
There's a great camaraderie there. They support each other. They're a great group
Oh,
of
that's
people.
awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
met quite a few of them.
Yeah, yeah, that's a nice thing too. Everybody really supports one another with the show circuit. Like, this couple weekends ago, that one down in South Carolina or North Carolina, it's in North or South, but whatever, the SKM show, or
Yeah,
I keep blowing it all to pieces. Anyway, everybody, Mark and Matthew were there, and I think Fred went. I'm not sure.
yeah.
That's another cool one.
Good group there. And but you know what? Speaking of shows, I'll take a moment and I'm representing you guys out there. I have my IPMS. I won't be able to turn around, but it's my Las Vegas show. So
yeah. Did you go to the Las Vegas show one year?
I did. Yep, I went out to the Nationals. See,
you did to the Nationals. Okay, yeah. So when you were there, you met BG and Chuck and all them.
Oh yeah. Yep. We and actually BG, I met him the first time I met him and Mrs. BG was at the Phoenix National IPMS, which was
you were there? I was there.
Yep, that was 2018, right? I believe. If memory serves.
Yep, 2018. Yeah, I was at that one.
So that was my first time I met BG, and we had we were following each other's YouTubes for a while.
Yeah,
and we just exchanged numbers and said, I'll send you a note and when I get there and all that. And it was awesome. We met up and met for the first time, and then he was there by himself the first day, and then him and Miss and Linda came and they stayed the weekend, right? So so it was very cool.
BG tells me that he saw me there, and he wanted to come up and talk to me and meet me. And I was just, I kind of was in, and I didn't spend a long time there that year. And I was like scooting on out when he was trying to catch up to me, and he goes, I can't catch up to him. But I don't know. I walk very slowly, so I don't understand. I'm a hobbling old man. I said, man, I wish we would have met then, because the things that we could have done.
Oh, sure.
Could have started 2 years, 3 years earlier.
Definitely.
And that would have been cool. And then I probably would have met you there. But I was, really kind of still just getting my YouTube channel going. And I really wasn't paying attention to what was going on. Back then I was working a lot too. So I didn't have a lot of time. So I wasn't paying attention to what was going on out in the YouTubes. I knew of Brian BG because he's one of the early guys that used to comment on my videos, and I went and checked him out. And I didn't realize that he lived here because I'm not that smart of a man. So I couldn't put two and two together and get, four.
Well, just playing the heat,
it's funny. It took Tim Brown in Kentucky, Throttle Power, to say, hey, you ever hang out with that BG? He's like, lives in your same town. He's in my town? Jeez.
That is classic.
Yeah, so that's how I ended up hooking up with Brian. Is I contacted him because Tim Brown said, "Yeah, you guys live in the same town."
Yeah,
dumb me.
Well, you never know, right?
Exactly.
You're watching the Luka C channel on YouTube.
So now you've been building models, you've been going to shows, you've been meeting people. When did you get into YouTube? What made you want to start doing YouTube? How'd that all roll?
Yep. So basically, I was like, I guess most people, I was a lurker for a while, kind of that just watching and didn't have my own thing and was just following along and all that. And then I was doing that for probably, I'd say almost 2 years, and this was like around 2001. Again, 2002. So around that same time I was getting into the shows and such, I started getting into the YouTube more and more because I started seeing stuff and checking stuff out more and other shows that I couldn't get to, that were states away or whatever. So the YouTube became more and more a thing. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I've gotten so many videos I've watched and tutorials and all these things. I ought to try to, my own little way, try to give something back, just kind of start a channel and see where it goes. I really didn't, know what I was going to do. I figured I would do some of the same things, show projects and talk about stuff. I said, there's not much tutorial stuff I could do, but I'll just kind of participate and just go, try to join the community and see where it goes. And that was in roughly around April of 2003. I joined. Sorry, 13. What am I saying? I knew I had my years off. I'm sorry. 2013.
That's right. There was no YouTube in the early O's.
No, I got totally lost. 2013, I started my own channel, and just been rocking and rolling since, and it's just been amazing. Really, it's just once you get one and another and another.
Yeah.
And then some leave, of course, sadly, they've moved on to other things or whatever happens, and then but new people coming on. So, it's just been then the group builds, right? You start getting involved in some of those things.
Group builds and just getting to know all the other YouTubers. We kind of have created our own community. It's a lot of fun and getting to all know one another, meeting up at shows. That has been like the best thing for me in this hobby.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's
neat
about the people, right?
And it gives us all a chance to do some collaborating and stuff like that. So that's always a lot of fun. So with the group builds, then here comes this 48-hour build that you took it over, actually. Right?
Yeah. It was good old Chip. Originally, Chevy Cheeseburger was his channel, and he had this idea to have a community build weekend type thing, and it was for a couple of reasons, and the same reasons kind of like we do it today, which is to try to build the community, encourage people to participate in YouTube by posting videos or more videos, get you out of the slump. Whatever it is, just kind of promote the hobby and have fun. Just share, a hobby and a weekend event, where people can just kind of come in and out throughout a weekend and enjoy each other, and the builds and such, right? So that was a great idea, and he thought of that. And I'll see if I get this date right. That was in July, and I think that was in 2017. No, not 17. Was it 17? Well, whatever it was 10 years ago, right? So 2013. Sorry.
Okay, 2013. Yeah, that's when that's when Chevy Cheeseburger started.
Yeah, he started up then. Interestingly enough, some people think I participated in every single one since it started. I have not. The first one I was not in, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, interestingly enough. It was hugely successful, though. I think it was at that time, 50 builders in it.
Oh, wow.
Which, for a first time thing.
For a first time thing, that's a lot of builders right there.
Yeah, that was huge. So, interestingly, he said, well, of course, we're going to have another one. And it wasn't that long after, coming to the realization that, wow, this was really popular. People had a great time. It used to be held monthly.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, toward the end of the month, like the first one was, but it was held monthly for quite some time, and then they decided to try saying, well, maybe we can talk about having a theme, and then an open too, right? If you don't want to do the theme, you can do whatever you want, but if you want to build to a theme, we'll have a theme. So they started building to a theme for a while, which was very cool. We did all kinds of different things. It was mostly car and truck only type thing, which was great because that's what Chevy Cheeseburger built, was cars and trucks.
Yeah.
So it started to lose a little steam after a while. So it became a little less frequent, not every month. And then some of the hosts changed over the years. Chip kind of took some time away and had to do some other things, and other people stepped up. And the last one that he did actually host was the 4th annual, and that's where the 2017 comes in. The 4th annual was his last one that he hosted, and it was awesome. It was pretty good participation. And then coming around to the 5th annual, I was looking around and listening around, and I didn't really see anyone doing anything for it. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna take the ball from here and just see how it goes. So starting with the 5th annual of the original weekend is when I started posting it. And I said in my first video, I can remember like it was yesterday, oddly enough, I remember saying, if somebody else is doing it or planning to do it, let me know. I'll just step aside. You guys go for it and do whatever. But nobody else was stepping in to do it or whatever, or mentioned it.
You took
so I just took it and ran from there. And I kind of changed a little bit, not too much, but I just opened it up to everybody. I said, you know what? If you're building Gundams, if you're building water towers for your train set, or if you're building,
a model
NASCAR,
scale models.
So yeah, it's basically, I wanted to open it up any genre, it didn't matter as long as it was scale model building. That was really, the change. And then the other maybe big change I made was to make it an annual thing, at least for me to host. And that was really it. And the other thing is interesting, and I always put it in my post 48-hour build weekend notes or whatever it is that, like, I don't own the 48-hour build, right? Anybody at any time can host one and do it. And there's, as far as I'm concerned, right? You could do whatever you like. And they, some people have done that. Some people held it like in the long weekend of Thanksgiving, since some people are usually home, right?
Yeah, maybe some other people do other 48-hour builds, but it seems like this one now, you just did technically the 10th anniversary one, which was your 5th. So that's pretty cool there, right? What do you call it? A milestone.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And I always, and like, I've been using the heck out of your thing. You kind of have this logo.
Oh, yes.
That's I love the sprue sticks, and that 48. It's kind of like that's really become your thing, your brand, and I think that weekend should always be yours. You as long as you want to do it, and everybody is just, they kind of wait for it. I've heard about it the past. BG's been telling me about it, and do I want to get into? I don't know. Well, I'm like definitely all for it now. It was sounding really cool. I wanted to do the 24-hour one that's earlier in the year, but that's always 24 hours. First of all, whew, that's a rough one. I would like to do it, but it's also at the time of year I'm kind of like always really busy at that time of year, where yours comes in the beginning, middle summer, which here in Arizona for us, this is we stay the heck inside. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
If we don't, if we can. So it just worked out perfect. And I had such a good time. It's like, man, I'm into it. I'm into it now. And that's what's amazing. That from the beginning, it's amazing that every time there's one of the 48-hour builds, there's always new people who do it. There's always people who get out of a slump. There's always people who start like that was their first video, every year there's some of those people. Every single time it's happened. It's amazing that that's always the case, that those things kind of transpire, right? Which is super cool. I mean, and as I said before, I said in our little world on YouTube, the hobby world, your area, you're going to blow up your channels, and people are going to jump in, and that's awesome. They're going to on Saturday, right? There was 2 people who jumped in on Saturday because they just got word that, oh my God, what's all these things about this 48 thing going on? Oh, right? Yeah. And I had a friend of mine raising Garrett. He says, I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't have anything on. I want to do this, though. It seems fun. I said, do it, man. He had a little bit of a hiccup that happened to him between weather killed him, where he had a blackout. He was up in Michigan. And then the kit that he got that he was going to do, his body was warped. So, but he's still building it. He's actually still building it.
That's great.
But and I told like that, I go, well, you can piggyback on me. I'll put pictures of your model on, and you have that Facebook group that you start,
right?
Yeah, which everybody was posting on that though through the whole weekend of their updates and stuff. So that was fun. I had a good time looking at what everybody was doing, and I cranked out more videos that weekend than in one little short time than I ever have.
yeah. And I mean,
such
you
a good
really
time.
did take on a build. I won't say cheat, but I looked it up. I did write some things down on a little note thing here, because as you could tell, my brain is like 10 times, 15 times older than my body is for some reason. I don't know. Especially at the end of a work week on a Friday night, it's like, my brain doesn't want to think anymore. But
tell me about it.
Yeah, so I actually, I mean, you just work with what you got, I guess. But do the best you can. But which isn't much for me. But I work, whatever it is. But I did the you mentioned the 24-hour builds. Because I go to the NNL East, I was lucky. Those guys had their own little area they set up, and they asked the club if they could do it, and they put a big banner out, and they say 24-hour build, and they said, here they are, and if you want to display them, a lot of those guys.
Oh, how cool!
So one year I was passing their table, and I said, what is it? And they have little business cards, and you pick one up, and it had like the next year's dates for it, right? So
nice,
I said, all right, you know what? I'm taking this, and I'm going to go and check it out. And at that point, I already had a couple 48-hour builds under my belt. So I said, let's really tempt the fates and go after this 24-hour thing, right? And and those guys are awesome, and they do a great job every year, and they get a lot of people for that, and it's been great success for them. And I'm lucky to have a chance to meet a few of them over the years at NNO East, and bring your builds and put them all on display and all this kind of thing. And I think this last year was my 9th one that I did.
Cool.
Yeah, ninth year that I've done one. So and that one I always say in the 48, I think that 48-hour build you'll still get some sleep. The 24 is, if you plan to that's going to be tough. If you want to be done, even with a small kit, if you want to be done,
that one I'm spooked. I'm gonna try it out possibly next year if I have the time when it hits. But like those guys, heck, that 24-hour build predates YouTube. I think it even predates a lot of the internet stuff going on.
Yep,
those guys have been doing it a long time.
Yeah, very, very long. And it started with just the 4 of them, right? And then, or 5 of them, and then expanded pretty quickly, actually, they saw. And, the interesting thing was when I first joined, I didn't know the significance.
We're getting geez, we got a crasher. We got a crasher.
That's a party crasher? There's only one party crasher I could think of is a Mr. BG would be, right? So,
this sucks because my McAfee said this was a safe link to click on, so I did.
Oh, thank goodness. Well, lucky for you. All right, glad to have you here, BG. We were just talking about you a whole lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, felt it appropriate. I invited BG to jump in with us on this because, after all, he's the guy who kept talking about this 48-hour build and got me interested, and then gave me the challenge, don't do a NASCAR. So, and then he was so with me all the way coming into my videos, and we had a good time with this.
Well, you guys had a great little wager going on.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten my tacos.
No, you haven't.
Now you're in trouble. So keep honest. Yeah,
I'll drive by tonight and throw them at the house.
Thank you.
Yeah. Look what mysteriously appeared.
Look at that.
Now, you know what? This may be odd or sad or whatever I might want to call it. I have a little table here next to my chair in the living room. I keep all of my greeting cards until it laps the holidays. So believe it or not, I still have the Christmas cards that the model builders and family have given me out here. And that's exactly what.
BG's cards are always fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, this year will be part 2.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
So yeah, I mean, it's sitting right over here. I could show you all the cards I got from the community and such, and other people and all that. It's just right over here. So
That's awesome.
you know, the BG Christmas card is it's a staple, right? It's become,
It is.
you know, amazing.
We're up to 100 every Christmas now. We send out.
Jeez.
Nice.
Yeah,
And he drawers every single one of them.
Yeah, drawer them.
Yeah.
You draw it.
I draw it. Drawing.
That's my Walter Matthau way of saying.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. It is definitely awesome. So
Well, you're very welcome.
yeah, it's we were talking then shows and such, and I mentioned Brian. I mentioned the Phoenix Nationals IPMS, and that's where we first. I don't know if you remember we first met.
I was walking up one side of the aisle, and you were on the other side, and you started asking somebody some questions, and I'm like, I know that guy.
just by the voice, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Echolocation. I know that guy. I know that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was really cool. Craig, I think, was the very first YouTuber I met.
Oh,
wow.
yeah?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yep.
Wow.
You could have. Yeah, I could have been the second, but you let me just run off.
Well, you were doing the bushwhackers on the way out of there, so I was like, I'm not getting involved in that.
So basically, you know, Luka, he started at the very, very, very bottom of the pile with me. You know, so it only could get better from there. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
If I could survive this, you know, it's all gravy.
That's
right?
great.
So, yeah, that's great. No, I remember the Nationals. That was a great Nationals. They did an excellent job with that show, and
that's what I heard.
Yeah,
I did. It was weird because I wanted to spend more time there, and yeah, it's here in Phoenix, but it's like 25 miles away or something, and rush hour traffic getting there and getting back home. It was like Linda was like, let's just get a hotel room there. So okay, great. So we got a hotel room there, and she wasn't feeling well, so we spent most of our time in the hotel room. I was worried about her, so I was like, I'm just going to go downstairs to the show real quick. Okay, you know, so go down to the show, run around, see people and stuff, and then wander back upstairs, make sure she's okay. And it's like, man, put some steps in those days.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because that show, it's even like on the under level. You have to go down those escalators. And...
If you want to make model car builders feel appreciated, in the basement of the convention center.
Yes,
that's where we belong.
Yes, there's a lot of well, actually, going on. So yeah. No, it was a good time, and
there were some great models on that table for that show too. I remember.
Yes,
and
I
still want to find that guy who built that. I think it was a 16 scale. It was a large scale GT40.
Was it?
It was in my video.
The 917.
Yeah. Sorry, you're right. So I'm out of my mind as usual. Yeah, 917 Porsche. That's what I loved about it, because that's the one that I went nuts about the fiberglass work in it.
R2D2. I love Star Trek.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I started this 9 to 5. 8 hour a day work thing this week, and this is my Friday night rush home across town. So like we were just saying, you know, our brains are kind of jello, you know, after the work week.
Oh yeah.
Right now, shouldn't it be like 2:30 Tuesday?
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh boy. Exactly. There you go. You know, well, here you show how on the ball I was with dates, Brian. I was saying that YouTube existed back in 1977.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
I mean?
Where do you hear that one?
Yeah,
I just let him roll and trash himself. You know how I am. I don't care about anyone. I just anything for a laugh, right?
Well, we call that a SHIT burger around here.
Oh, yeah. That's it. Yeah.
So she's saying
well,
Craig
have a bite out of that, right?
Yeah, Craig pulled an Al Gore on that one.
Yeah. I was just...
Back in 1968.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was totally lost. Yeah. I'm
awesome.
surprised I found my way back. You know,
Yeah.
I get stuck
Oh,
there.
yeah.
So very cool. Yeah, no, we were again just talking about all the different things on YouTube and actually Brian,
How it's
Brian and I-
changed over the years.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've seen each other quite a few times now. Me and Brian and this is BG at several shows. It was totally awesome. They were able to connect a trip with other things to go to the NNL East this year.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool.
I think Craig was one of the first people I reached out to say, "Hey, we're going to be at the NNL East. Will you be there too?" And you're like, "It's in my backyard," you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I got to go for a ride in his car that he does his filming from sometimes.
Oh, yes. The mobile unit.
The mobile unit. Didn't even have to offer me candy. Got right in.
Yeah.
I'll spit on the camera.
Yeah. That's it. That's right. That's it. We should have did a video from the road. Actually,
I know we should have, but I was like, the roads around that area were very confusing. So I was just trying to memorize in case, you know, I had to walk my way back or something, you know, to the venue. But no, Craig's a good driver.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Well,
you're just saying that because he's watching,
Because I
Yeah.
survived.
Oh,
Yes.
and you survived. Yeah.
yeah.
See, I got to ride with Frank in Matthew's car, and he was in the back seat, so I didn't have to endure his driving,
Okay.
his New Jersey driving.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a whole different thing. It's a thing, you know. It's
Yeah.
it's not good.
I actually, I grew up not too well, as far as we are right now, not too far away from you, because I was up in upstate New York, or actually more southwestern New York, over by Buffalo, not far from what you mentioned, Watkins Glen as a racetrack, and I didn't live too far from Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
So I know how the roads are there and the weather. And I've been through New Jersey. A lot of my family come from New York City and Long Island. So, you know, there's the whole Jersey, New York thing. What we think of you people there.
Oh yeah.
So
They like us, and it has to do with roads and cars. That's what it seems, right? That's where we really, you know, become very unpopular very fast. So
yes.
Boston has its own interesting way. It's like everybody's super cool to you until they get in their car, and then it's like,
no,
yeah,
no, all bets off. That's it.
Yeah. This guy comes over to the Starbucks, and this guy comes out and holds the door for Linda. So Linda walks through the door, and he goes over to his truck, and he gets in it and starts it up. She gets into her car, starts it up, and then she's starting to back up, and the guy's like, "Nope." And he pops it in, drops it into gear, backs up, and then does a chirp.
Total Jekyll and Hyde once they get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah. Apparently they're called mass holes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's okay to say that because somebody from Boston actually told us that. So
okay, so you got there. You're okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You got
one time we met up with Craig was at the was in Kentucky in Louisville at the Wonderfest show.
Say that correctly.
Wonderfest.
No,
I said Louisville.
Louisville. Oh, you did
Louisville.
Louisville,
right?
It's one Louisville.
Louisville, yeah.
Louisville.
That's Tim. I said it right.
With the U.
Yeah.
Louisville.
So we're hanging out with
Wonderfest.
Craig, and we went to dinner, and we went to that Outback. You remember that, Craig?
Oh yeah. Sure.
And I kept calling it. They have something called Tasmanian chili at the Outback there, right? Hadn't seen it before. It's not on the menu on this side of the country, so they're trying it out there. I kept calling it tsunami chili, and the waiter's like, "Oh my god, I hope not." That was a great evening.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
True.
Only BG.
Yeah. It was, it's interesting. Frank Frizzo, he does Frizzle model cars, of course. I'm sure a lot of folks are aware of his channel. When we knew there was other YouTubers coming to NNL, we were like, what could we do? Could we put anything together and all that? And for a split second, I said, "Oh, I live like 25 minutes away. Maybe I could host it here at my house or something." But I thought, that's going to be a little tough. But it did cross my mind. It would have been kind of fun to do that kind of thing. But with the show going on in the day and all that stuff, it probably would have been a little bit too difficult to do. So we kept it local there. So we get it. So I think we had quite a few people, right, Brian? That ended up showing up there.
We had there was 2 tables. First syllable. No, there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there was at least 8 people at the table I was at, and then there was the second table that I think had another 6 people there, and it was quite the group.
Yeah,
and we were being rowdy and laughing and telling stories, and it was really cool because we met up with my old friend Tim Baumgart, who's moved to the area. He's not a YouTuber, but he's a prolific builder also. So,
and he was quite the writer in Scale Auto back in the old days.
Oh,
Scale Auto enthusiast.
Yeah, I think he used to use a pen name then.
And
no, he did books under a pen name. That's what it was.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. No,
but yeah, we had Chris Ortlieb and his wife, who's from Diablo's Workshop.
Oh yeah.
And then we had Chris Danatone, CD scale models, and then and he brought a big bucket of Italian cookies. That was awesome.
Oh wow!
Oh,
homemade.
He's quite the baker. Yeah, and then at our table, Kurt from KH Model Works, he sat across from me, and then just to his side, I sat next to Onyx from Onyx Fiero, and then our buddy Tim. I can't remember who's sitting next to Kurt. If there was anybody, I can't remember. But then at the other table there was 60s Rule Dan.
Yep.
And I think his wife was there too. She was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then Frank was at that table. And were you at that table with them?
Yeah. I was in the little extra table there to the side,
okay,
and we had Dylan too from.
Yes, Dylan
and his mom was there.
Mom, right?
Yeah. So good group.
She's pretty cool. She didn't tell any embarrassing stories about Dylan at all.
Yeah. Yes.
But as moms are wont to do at times. But no,
always.
It was quite the crew. And I tell you, I was so tired that day. Just walking around. I mean, because it was 3 gymnasiums full of stuff.
Oh, I want to go. I've always wanted to go that. I want to go to that. So that is mind blowing to me. I have never seen a show that big.
You need to.
Yeah, it's. I told them, Brian, and the whole, other people first. Like I said, it's definitely sensory overload. It's so much to try to do in a single day, and this becomes a tired joke after a while. But it's basically a multi-purpose police athletic league building, Luka, that they hold this in. So they have basketball courts, and they have a cafeteria thing, and they have bingo at certain times and all that kind of stuff. But what's interesting is they have an ATM on site, and inevitably every year they have the NNL. It runs out of money.
That's of course. I bet.
That runs out of money. The Coke machine runs out of sodas, and there's one bathroom.
Oh boy!
Oh yeah!
Oh, it sounds like a blast. I'll be there.
Yeah,
I tell you, it, and the fact that now I know so many people that go to it. And like you're saying, all the YouTubers that show up to it, what a fun gathering there! Just like what we did in Atlanta, but this is like kind of bigger. So I definitely do want to go to it, and it was kind of interesting. This, and I always knew the show was legendary. So Craig is telling me that that was his first model car show, not his first model show, but his first model car show he ever went to. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
That's like going to the Empire State Building and it's like, this is the first skyscraper I've ever seen. Okay, here's other skyscrapers too.
Yeah, but yeah, I know it must have been. I mean, after that, Craig, I would imagine any model car show you went to after that were like, yeah, it was.
Yeah, exactly. It was, as I said, it was just amazing.
I can imagine. And I always heard about it. So I know, I trust everybody that tells me what it is. I'm going, I don't know. I'm waiting I'll probably go there and not believe what I'm seeing.
Yeah. No, it's again, it's something I've always said, and I've many times, and I usually do it after like a little recap of going to the show on my channel. It's like, if you're a model car truck builder and you can get there, definitely get there. It's definitely should be a bucket list thing for you, because there's a couple other big shows. Their nationals, I think, is in Ohio, and then NNL West is another big NNL. But from what I've been told over the years, is the national has more vendors, less models on display. The one in the NNL East has more models on display than the other shows. So so whatever it is, but I don't know. I've never been to the others. Can't say firsthand, but
from what I understand,
we've been to NL West, and that was just recovering from COVID. If I remember correctly, I think that was just recovering from COVID. And no, it was just before COVID. I take that back. And the show was a little on the small side. And then all of a sudden, COVID hit, and we haven't been back to NNL West since. But that was another great group of guys. Not as big as NNL East, but still a good show nonetheless.
Yeah. And from what I understand about the NNL East, when you talk about vendors, is they kind of got this thing going years ago where it was kind of an invite of more like the cottage industries and aftermarket companies and stuff like that. They were kind of like wanting to create an aftermarket expo there. So you might not, where you wouldn't have a lot of vendors, but the vendors you have are mostly, aftermarket manufacturers and stuff. Because I was invited to it years ago when I had one of my many thousand resin casting companies like come and gone with, and they I actually got an invite to get a table there, and I just couldn't swing it, but I would have loved to. But I always kind of got the impression, that's kind of what they told me, is that's what they wanted to be, is kind of a aftermarket model car expo.
I can see it, because that was crazy with the aftermarket stuff. I mean, the guy, I think his name is Chris from C1 Resins, was there, and he's all the way from England.
Yeah,
so that's a big deal.
And then there was that one guy that escaping doing the 3D body, has 1.5 million 3D bodies in his catalog. Too many projects. He was here in Phoenix. And then from Phoenix, not that he's here in Phoenix, he was at the show here in Phoenix. And then he went to the NNL East, which was a week later or something like that.
Yeah, he Smokey and the Bandit his way.
Yeah, he did, I would say.
Oh yeah. Just pounded to the floor and roll. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right, but so Craig, are we going to see you at Acme this year?
Unfortunately, you won't. We had some other travels this year, and we kind of just come to the end of not only budget and time really to take off is now limited for the rest of the year. So
I get it.
Maybe go back the following year. Maybe.
Okay.
It's interesting, because I was telling Luka that my original intent there was to go do once. It was a bucket list thing. Let me go down to Acme, go check it out. And the third show later of going to Acme, right?
What was your first year of Acme then?
First year of Acme. God, what year was that? Boy. I want to say 2017. I think that was it. And what was interesting about that was they had like a bunch of people from YouTube the year before. Like, it was like crazy. It was like just over 60 people. right?
Yeah.
And then the year I went, there was like barely 40. So it was like a drop of people, but still a lot of people, right? And then the following year there were more and then more. So yeah, my best guess is 2017.
Interesting.
It was just amazing. It really was. Again, that show is all about meeting other YouTubers, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, the show itself is awesome. The club does an amazing job. You know, and the workmanship is really top shelf.
Oh yeah.
And they're in a new venue this year, which should be very interesting to get.
Yeah.
You know, the feedback on that one.
I got a feeling that this new venue change is going to change this show. I think it can really get bigger.
Oh, I agree. And the host hotel is light years better than the last.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I heard about the pillows.
The pillow. The smoke detector in our bathroom had been removed.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And the whole time we were there, there
right?
was one lady behind the counter, and she was actually sleeping in the office because there was nobody to back her up or nothing.
Oh, jeez.
You kind of have a contest of worst hotels between that one and the Rio Suites out in Vegas International.
Oh, wait.
The Craigslist furniture.
Oh,
right?
the Rio, yes. I forgot you were out there for that one too, Craig.
Yeah, no, I was laughing when we were talking about.
Yeah, he's wearing the shirt.
I'm wearing the shirt, so I got you guys represented here.
And then, though, but when in 21, when I went to Acme, I had a brilliant idea staying at the Red Roof Inn across the street from the host hotel, and Matthew and I stayed there.
If there was a way to have a hard time with something, you guys figured it out.
Oh, well, not only the hard time, but then I mean, it's like, what is that on the wall type of hotel?
Yeah.
Oh, I love playing that game.
Yeah. And so, yeah, but Matthew and I, when we were there, we were like, kind of like, I don't want to touch nothing.
It's a soccer match. Don't touch anything.
Oh, it was so bad there.
Animal, mineral, or vegetable?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
You know what? Bad hotel room. You know, the mark of a bad hotel room is every 10 minutes you find something else wrong. It's like, oh, there's like no floor in the closet. Like it's a hole. You know. There's a bone in the tub. You know, kind of.
There's piranhas in the toilet, and they jump.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Ow! So what a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, had to do
it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh man.
Oh god.
Yeah, that definitely should be a better one. BG, are you going to be going to? When do you think the next NNL East is that you'll be going to?
Ooh, let's see. Well, I can say anything I want, but the fact-checking department will catch up with me on that one. Not 100% sure, but our plan, and I've talked to a lot of guys about this already, but our plan is to, do Acme and then take a year off and do something else, and then, so sort of like rotate around because we're probably not going to do any IPMS shows, conventions anymore, because of the time that it takes to go do those. But definitely want to do NNL East again, along with Wonderfest or Wonderfest, yeah.
Wonderfest.
And
so that's another one.
And then work in some other shows like NNL North or Mosquito Con or something like that, Definitely Jax Con, that's on the list too. But as of
say hi. Don't be mean. It's my daughter.
I don't know if you're alive.
She's stealing my remote.
Your remote?
Her remote doesn't work, so she's taking.
Oh, great.
Sorry, you may commence.
Your channels are gonna. Oh no, we're talking about this now.
That's right. We changed.
So yeah, NNL East. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, then I'll plan it.
Oh, okay, good.
I definitely want to go. I'd like to go when you and Linda go.
Okay, we'll have room in the car.
Okay. But
Yeah.
We
like
we
3-day
were
drive?
talking about this. We were talking about this just the other day, where she was like, NNL East, being in New Jersey, and I said, look, if we do the NNL East again, we're not staying in New York, Manhattan, and taking a low flying Uber in at 6 o'clock in the morning, because that was hair raising, and guy earned his money. Like, what? He didn't even slow down to pay the toll through the tunnel. We got there in record time, dropped us off out front, and then the day just didn't stop from there until we rolled back into town. It took us an hour and a half to get back into the city after dinner, which was just too long, So Linda was like, well, we're flying, because it turns out the airport's right freaking there, right? So we fly in, stay there for that night, do the show, and then crash at the hotel, and do everything you have to do with whatever's going on in the hotel, and then go off and do other stuff in the area, So that's the plan. So that's how we want to work it out. But we had to do it the way we did last time because of the work schedule.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just sort of like whetted our appetite for more of that stuff.
Yeah, that's a fun part of the country to go to. I definitely want to make sure I make it to that. But I want to go to more shows back east because they're fun. I got to start going to shows around here too. I keep missing them around here too. Well, that's a whole nother paint job. But anyways, so listen, hey,
talk to Craig about his judging.
Did I talk? Oh, geez, no.
He's an IPMS judge.
Well, we did. He did mention
Craig,
a little bit.
Craig is the guy I go to when I'm like, I have a question about this. Is this kosher? And Craig's like, nope.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got an in-house judge to basically bounce things from. Now that we're kind of like becoming the IPMS judges here in our little neck of the woods. We're kind of taking over the automotive part of our
something I wanted
club.
to share with Craig was that I'm going to be head IPMS judge at the head automotive judge for our local IPMS show.
Aren't you so proud of our BG?
That is awesome. That is really good. Yeah, that's a big job.
I got it through attrition.
Yep, and I'm going to be there to. I'm definitely, a whole bunch of us from our club are going to help IPMS and help BG out because we did it last year. They came and asked us, and we said, "Yeah, sure, love to," and it really went off really well last year. So
we were the first ones done, and we probably had half again as more stuff on the table.
Oh, there was way more cars than they thought they'd have. So hopefully we can get something really going with the car section at that show.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Something that changed. I talked about the first show, Brian, that I ever went to was in 2001. It was, either the first weekend in April or the last weekend in March. It was the Mosquito Con. It's
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that show really, by IPMS standards, I don't know how many people know. You're mostly car, truck, and people think immediately, tank and armor and aircraft and all that good stuff. But there's still a great number of great modelers who do cars and trucks at the IPMS circuit, for sure, right? They definitely do some good stuff. But that little show in New Jersey, they get between usually 400 and 500 models at that show, total.
Really?
Everything, right? All the categories, right? So what happened there, and maybe this is a tip as you try to, get the car maybe category and kind of expand it, was, they had it very, very general categories. To start at that little show in New Jersey, and then a car guy kind of took it over and said, "Okay, it's going to be Pro Street, and this is going to be this and
that's what us car guys do,
right?" So
that's awesome.
The categories, and then we noticed that because of that, more car people would come and were more interested in attending the show and in participating. So it actually grew that out pretty nicely.
See, that's what I'm hoping to have happen here, because there's so many people that come in from Southern California, whatever, from their car clubs. I don't want to do IPMS. Their categories are too narrow. They're not, And we were up here in Vegas just last weekend and kind of had the same thing. I took I took 6 different kits, and most of them were all in the same category with each other, because
Yeah.
I was so,
Yeah.
you'll have like European, JDM, that kind of a thing. So I was kind of hoping for that. Was that I ended up being in a category that I didn't expect to be in, and I was going up against some pretty stiff competition. So to get second place for that was pretty nice. But I was like, ooh, wow, okay. So
Yeah, you pulled the hardware in.
yeah,
Yeah,
all right.
you did.
Yeah.
Our buddy Chris Rohde actually brought home 4 awards.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh wow! What classes did he? What classes did he get those in?
I don't remember.
Awesome! I love that class.
Anyway,
One of my favorite.
Yeah. I don't remember.
That's
I think I sponsored that one.
Yeah.
yeah.
But Craig, you know what it's like to be at a show. They're like, okay, here come the awards. It's just rapid fire.
Oh,
It's like
yeah,
people are like,
yeah.
wow, I think my name was called,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the great thing that the little show, I keep thinking about this little show in New Jersey. Sorry, guys, but it's really just a lot of interesting things they've done. And it's reason why it's done so well so many years. And I think they're coming up on their 30th year of their show.
Year?
So or pretty close, like 27, maybe something like that.
Okay.
It's close. It's getting there.
Keep talking about them and they won't be little anymore.
Yeah.
Really.
But they always, a lot of clubs, and I've been to many, many shows. I guess you want to add it all up. I've been to probably close to 60 shows over the years.
Wow, you're a veteran.
Wow.
But they mix up
I don't
the
think I have.
categories. Right? When they announce the awards, they don't go category 1, category 2, category 3. They go category 1, category 2, category 15, 18, 27, 5, 6, 7, 8, 32, 37. They mix it all up so everybody's kind of hanging around. And you know what I mean? There's nobody like bailing early because you call all the categories that they're in.
Oh, it's a maneuver is what they're doing. They're doing a maneuver.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but it's something like you said, let me get this straight. So you were saying, because there was a car guy involved, is this the show that you're saying that they got the car categories like really laid out well now, a whole bunch of like Pro Street and all that stuff? Because that's what we want to get ours to do. That's the one thing everybody's saying is like, yeah, it's great. The show's great. We proved that we bring the car people in. Give us more categories.
Yep.
We're taking care of it. We're doing the judging and we're cool with it. So hopefully with VG's stature and influence, he will get it for us.
There you go. Yeah. No, it really did change things. Yeah. Once they expanded it up with the category, really, they it took off, and they did it with other areas too of that show. Like all of a sudden they noticed a lot of younger people showing up with Gundams. So they were going against 18th century and all these other old, it really was a tough thing to kind of blend with. So after I think the second year of popularity of that particular area of building of Gundams, they created a whole category for Gundams. So now they get a good representation. And they're all younger folks, which is great to see.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Hey, so BG, should I put him on the hot seat? I got a question that might put him on the hot seat.
Oh,
yeah. Get your.
All right, here we go. Here we go. We're going to be getting into real controversy area here.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. Because at our IPMS show, we do not have a no sweeps rule. Do you guys have a no sweeps rule, and what's your opinion of that?
Okay, so this little New Jersey show, and actually, now that I think about it, all of the IPMS shows that I've been to, which is in Connecticut, Long Island, Pennsylvania, Maryland, none of them have they're all no sweeps.
They are.
They're all no sweeps.
So there is a no sweeps rule.
They all play off, and I don't know if that's because of the region they're in, right? Because they're broken into regions, right? The IPMS is different regions, 2, 4, whatever it is.
Right.
I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but they all follow the national rules. And the national rules still say there's a no sweeps rule.
Interesting.
But
I did
again,
not know that.
any club can do what they want. Like a lot of clubs have migrated away from, I thought you were going to ask about the first, second, third judging versus the bronze, silver, gold open style judging, where it's points based versus placement and contest based. So a lot of clubs have done that. They moved to that new, process. But the no sweeps is in effect for all the ones I've been to, believe it or not. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because it's correct, PG. There is no sweeps rule at ours, right?
I believe there is.
Well,
there is a no sweeps rule.
Didn't Chuck sweep a class?
No, not to my recollection.
I think he did.
You think he did? I can't recall. I do know that the Vegas IPMS, they have a no sweeps rule.
Yeah, that I am aware of.
And as somebody who's competing against people like Chuck and John Teresi and stuff like that, I was listening to the judges and they were saying, you pick the if you know, because there is a number on there that you're assigned when you come in at the door. For instance, I was number 45, right? And then it was number 45-1, -2, -3, all the stuff. They said, if you look at the table and you notice that there's a lot of number 45s in this category, that's all the same guy, obviously. Pick the best one out of that group and then move on from there, which I think is totally fair. Especially if somebody's piling stuff into a group. We got 6 builds.
Yeah. I'm getting very mixed on this because I've been such an anti no sweeps rule person for years.
The no sweeps rule opens it up for more contestants to win trophies and be more competitive.
Yeah.
And thus less people being angry at the fact that, hey, I never win anything, I never make it to these shows.
Yeah.
Well, why bother?
Yeah.
Especially if you got somebody coming with six cars all for one category.
Yep. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's been kind of the dialogue at all these shows I've been to, which is these are customers. At the end of the day, they're coming to attend a show.
Yeah.
If they've brought a model with them, they're hoping to have a good time with that too. So make sure all the judging is on the up and up. It's fair. We'd be respectful of everybody's entry. It doesn't matter what level they're at, novice or expert. And then also, I have to admit that within the judging team itself, we look for ways to make sure it's fair. We get the right things to the right people. But also, if there's an opportunity to, see that winners are really, kind of spread out, as we do. I mean, but again, it has to be within the skill level, of course. But it's like, okay, well, they get out of box because of this and that, but out of box is kind of going away. That's a big change. It's been happening the last couple of years. Is less and less.
Well, with all the aftermarket 3D print stuff, it's really hard to keep track of all that stuff.
You can't. Yeah, you really can't. I was a big proponent of that because that's how I build. A lot of my kits are out of box, but you really can't do it at this point. There's so much out there. You're right. That it's just, the multimedia kits themselves, let alone all the 3D stuff too. So
the amount of research you'd have to do for each individual thing placed on the table for that category would take the majority of the
That's
time.
for sure.
Yeah, it becomes a time thing. Yeah,
right.
It really does. So that's been kind of just to give it the gist is, they're customers, they're participants, and if the same people go up and they win every year, it would be, it
would just get annoying. Yeah, it would get annoying.
Yeah.
Now, I remember Craig had judged at the Vegas show, the Vegas IPMS.
Oh, yeah.
2021 or whatever it was. 2022.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But you guys were there till like what, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning?
We were just real brief. The funny thing was with IPMS judging, when I first came in, the first nationals I went to was 2005, and it was in Atlanta. It was an excellent show. They ran it perfectly. Great participation in all categories. They even had a no judging category, like if you just want to display your stuff. So it was very cool. But within that, the aircraft judges were always the last out of the room in those days. But after a couple of years, for some reason, the automotive judges were hard to get to participate and judge, because it does take a few hours. And that's become the hardest category, I think, overall, to keep continually to get judges to volunteer to judge. We've had, at the Vegas show, we had Kurt, who normally would judge Cage Model Works, come over to help us once he was done with the aircraft, to come over to the autos and civilian vehicle categories to help us with those. So yeah, we ran till close to 1 a.m, where, you know, again, days past way back, that wasn't the case. There was usually the aircraft judges, but now there's such a shortage of automotive judges that usually we go late. Yeah. Yep. And there's a lot of entries. I mean, there's a lot of categories. I think in that show, I was working with 2 other people. We had a team of 3. And we judged probably at least 12 categories together, if not more.
Wow.
12 categories just in automotive.
Just our team of 3, yeah, because there was 2 teams of 3, and then our chief judge. That's all we had, which was crazy, right?
Wow.
Because in the early national days, again, when I went to Atlanta, we had teams of 5 because there was so many judges, and there was still a lot of entries, but we had a lot more people on board, you know, and so yeah, I mean it's a commitment. When you decide to judge nationals, you really signed up for something, right? You know, it's going to be a long night.
Interesting.
Really, any category.
Is there going to be cookies? Is there going to be cookies at the end?
BG won't do it. BG won't do anything without cookies.
There it is.
Gotta have cookies.
It's not guaranteed, but oddly enough, somebody did have a stash of snacks they just threw on the table, and I mean, it was like, you know, the mad dash for it was almost worse than like free model parts over here. Come on, anyone take what you want.
Oh gosh, yeah.
The frenzy.
Think of Wonderfest when they dumped all the stuff on the tables for the Iron Modeler.
Oh, the grip.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and then they said, "Okay, you guys can go," and people were like, you know, leaning towards the table. And as a matter of fact,
you got your Gribbly?
I still got it.
I love that thing. We actually got it to fire up. Don't know what the hell it does.
No, lights went on and off in a house in Germany, but you know, whatever. Yeah, that's my souvenir.
That's neat. Yeah, I'll tell you what, you guys tonight have just gotten me almost tipped, the closest anybody ever has, tipped over to that. I'm okay with no sweep judging, because I have been a fighter against it. I didn't like it. I just felt that I don't know. I just felt that if you win second place to a guy that has the best 2 or 3 cars of the class, did you really win second place? And then there's the thing: is it the modeler or the models? It gets so difficult.
Well, some people are so out of this world build wise.
Yeah.
That they end up being in a class all to themselves.
Yes.
And thus competing against themselves. And that's how I look about it.
And, you know, I could see that. Maybe with the thing of, like, for me, how I would figure, if I'm going to a show that's a no sweeps rule, I'm going to want to make sure that the models that I bring are of different categories then, and not try to compete against myself.
Right. I mean, that's definitely a logical aspect of it. And then there are people that are just like, you know, I only build Pro Street, and here's all of my Pro Street cars.
Yeah.
You know.
And then they just got to live with it.
Yeah.
But I guess I can see how that would be fair, where if you have a system like what you were talking about, Craig, where it was BG who said that it was the number system that if it's all 25s, it's all the same builder.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they just put names on the placard, I guess you don't have to worry about that. Were there names in Vegas?
No.
Okay. See, I'm not going to lift from that one.
No, and you have your definitely have words are it's late.
Yeah, we're
jammy time.
But yeah, I gotta say, I might start leaning a little off of that because you're right. If you see like a guy who has 4 models in a class, you see it says his models are extraordinary. It's almost like you got to do 2 judging now in that class. You have to judge his models to pick out which one would be the one he
that's
would
always,
with.
That's what happened.
That's always the hardest task, right?
Yeah, I
For
bet.
judging, and you guys probably judge a bit, but to me, and most people judge a while, that is always like the most difficult challenge, or is to, whether it doesn't matter the level of builder, if they have 4 models in a category, is to judge their 4 and pick their best of 4, because the obviously the effort is pretty close, right, from model to model, right? It doesn't matter whether you're novice, intermediate, or advanced. That's always the trickiest thing, is try to do them justice by saying, yeah, we thought this was your best of your 3 or your 4, and move that forward to go towards the other models against each other, right? That's always been tough. Now we have a guy who does, like, obviously replica stock is the most popular category.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right. So he brings at least 18 to 21 models every year.
Good grief.
So there you go, right? And he's a very good builder, right? So he could easily sweep stock, most times, every year, pretty much. So we do have to go through with his 18 to 21 and look at them and say, if we don't have a split, like you talk about splits, right? Pre 1950 or whatever it is, right? You got to judge all those and figure out what his best one is, right? And move that forward. Yeah.
I have a question for Craig now.
Uh-oh.
Okay, in the world of TV and movies, of all the hero cars that are out there, what one TV or movie car would you want as your daily driver?
As my daily driver. Wow.
Yes. The thing you wouldn't mind getting in and out of at the Safeway.
This is probably going to be kind of boring, but I'm going to say,
because
I love that era of that car, a Lamborghini Countach from Cannonball Run.
Oh,
right?
Good choice. Good choice.
Because I don't know, I just fell in love with that car. And as I said, it's kind of boring.
I have that kit. It's sitting.
And that car, I saw something. I mean, that car is owned by some. There was something about that car that was unique too. That particular Cannonball Run car, and it's owned by an individual that takes it around and shows that it's Cannonball Run car. I guess it had a certain wing on it that they didn't put.
No, it had a wing on the front of the car to help keep the nose down.
Cool.
And that particular car, reason why it's in that movie is because that particular car killed the real Cannonball Run race. Because the guy that was running the race, who was of the magazine, I cannot think of his name right now.
Brock Yates.
Brock Yates, that's the guy. So the dude who built this Lamborghini for that race, and he did some trick stuff to it. He invited Brock Yates over to go look at the car, and Yates said in an interview, "I'm looking at this car and I'm thinking this guy's going to kill himself or somebody else. This is getting too crazy. We're calling it quits."
Yeah.
So that car never actually ran in the Cannonball, but it was in the movie.
Interesting.
So good choice, Craig. And then also, that was the very first time I ever saw a Lamborghini, so I thought they all had to be black. And then I saw one in white, and I'm like, oh, no, they all have to be white.
Yeah.
Well, my 80s.
The one they had it, was it white, and then they went to the construction thing in the movie, and they hosed it off, and it turned red.
Right.
So
I think that was the second one.
Yeah.
The beginning of the second one, which was still a fun movie. But yeah, no, good choice.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's not a fantasy car. That would have been a lot of fun, something crazy. But that car just stuck with me. I just thought that's the ultimate sports car.
If you're a car guy, you know that car. You know?
Yeah, a lot of fun now. It's
not like Corvette Summer or something like that. We're like, oh, what the hell is that?
I don't know if you remember the Robin Leach did the famous Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, right? So
a show I will never be on.
Yeah. He's probably from like Brooklyn, New York, right? He's probably not right? Or something.
So have your champagne
it's
drink,
all made up.
caviar nightmares or whatever.
Yeah. The over-the-top English accent, right? He's all fake. But what I saw him featured one time, I'll never forget, was a Lamborghini. It was pretty much like a Countach limousine, right? It was it was a stretch Lamborghini, which I said, oh, that if I ever won like some super lottery, I said, that's what I'm getting right there. That's
oh yeah. I would
bring all your friends with you, huh?
I would do a stretch Lamborghini, yeah. Oh, that's another thing too. Speaking of stretches, when me and Craig are at shows, people can pinpoint each other by where Craig and I are at. They're like, you see Craig? Well, he's the guy next to him over there. Oh, that's BG. Okay, BG. Okay, go 2 guys to the left. That's the guy you're looking for.
Oh, so you guys are paired.
We're like the twin pillars walking around there. Folks are using us to help line up their site to find somebody else.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, we'd be like this salt and pepper, not one without the other, right? So it's like always, saying, "Did you see that over there? Or did you hear about that over here?"
Pardon me, sir. Can you get that off the top of that stack for me, please?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Always.
No, because I want it.
I'm the guy who asks.
Yeah.
The rule always is this, and I don't know if Brian does this, but I'll be in a supermarket, I'll be any number of stores, and somebody would do exactly that. They'll say, "Can you, sir, help me?" I said, "Here's the deal. I'll get the top, but if I need help at the bottom someday, you got to help me get that, right? Because for tall people to reach down there,
that gets
crappy.
We all have bad backs. All tall people have bad backs.
Yeah.
All right, boys, I'm going to sign off.
Well, that is probably good that you're signing off. And I'll tell you what, before you sign off, we'll just wrap this up. This has been great. This totally went in a really interesting direction that I wasn't expecting. I totally slipped my mind about the judge thing. I'm so glad you brought that up because that really brought some excellent conversation, which means I might be turning this into a 2-parter. But with that being said, so, BG, I got to have Craig say something to end this.
Yes.
All right. But before I do, real quick, Craig, why don't you plug the things that you do, your channel and the build? Go ahead and plug it.
Sure. Okay. So I have a YouTube channel, and it's called MuttModeler, all one word. Again, if you go into Google and Google it, it'll be the first thing that pops up in your search. And we build every genre, some more than others, more cars and trucks than others, usually. And I've become kind of the person to carry on the tradition of hosting the annual 48-hour group build weekend. That happens the last weekend of July, thereabouts, maybe a week one way or the other, but basically the same. And we've expanded it out to Facebook to include those folks as well. That's basically it. It's been an absolute honor to be on your show here, Luka, because again,
don't even mention it.
Just a great, and thank you for participating.
Oh, yeah, I had such a ball, and thanks BG for bringing me in on it and really suggesting it. And I was like, yeah, what the heck? I am so glad I did it. So glad I did it.
I like sharing the pain.
Yeah, it did hurt a little. It was a little hurtful, but we got through it.
That's it. That's it.
Well,
It's all about fun.
okay, Craig. BG, you have your thing, but Craig's got to do the thing that I put all the guests up to, just to put them on the hot seat again.
Oh boy. Oh
Are
boy.
you ready? You know what we're talking about? You know what you got to do?
I got to be honest. I am not positive. So, and I'm going to blame. It's like 1:45 in the morning here. So I'll blame
Okay, well, that's
my
fine.
foggy state.
Oh man.
So-
Let's check it out. This should be wonderful then.
All right. So I'm just, I don't know. I'm going to make it up because I don't really know. It's sad to say, but I'm going to say, Luka, let's run the credits.
Well, how about you, BG?
Well, I'll do the closeout then.
Yeah, because that
petting your fingers and gluing that styrene.
Oh,
And I want to say, Matt, thank you for the opportunity to talk to my good friend on.
oh yeah.
Appreciate
No
that
problem. No problem. I knew it would be fun. That's why I asked. Awesome.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes,
There we go.
fingers.
All right. And so everybody, thanks for watching. And we'll see you in the next one. And I'm sure you'll see this BG guy again. But we'll probably be bringing Craig back on for other fun adventures in the world of modeling. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Now what the heck? BG, say your thing.
Here are the producers.